What is up, guys? It is the Bluebloods here, and man, this is going to be a real special episode. We're joined by Byron Jamar Terry, man. He is a mental health advocate. He's a writer. He's an athlete, a and management major at Kennesaw State, man. And listen, this kid does it all, man. He's got a YouTube channel. I mean, you can find this kid all over the place. And so, Byron, I just want to say, man, I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. So, the first thing I mentioned about you is you're a mental health advocate. You write about it. You talk about it on your YouTube channel. What inspired you to be a mental health advocate?
So I like to write. So that is a big part of it. My senior year of high school, I was kind of just sitting around and I was like, well, I've dealt with, some mental health struggles and stuff like that. So I thought, hmm, how could I inspire other people with stuff that I've been through? So I reached out to a recruiting site and it's called the Subway Alum. So they talk about recruiting and stuff like that. And I reached out to them and I was like, I have this idea. Let's do an interview where we can talk about mental health and like sports and stuff like that. And I was like, I think this could really help and really inspire people. So, we got that together. And then the title of it was called High School Football Player Deals with, or Byron Jamar Terry deals with depression as a high school football player. And so that story really took off. And I didn't think it would do as well as it did. I mean, I was hoping for it to do well, but I was surprised at how well that it did do. And I was just like, wow, this is like crazy. So before that I hadn't really seen too many athletes really talk about mental health and stuff like that, or really come out about their mental health. So I was like, this is a good idea. So I decided to write about it more. And so when I really started to write about it, I saw a story from Tyrann Mathieu on the Players Tribune, and I was reading it, and I was just like, "This is really cool. I want to write something like this too." So I decided to write my own story about it, and it's called Bounce Back. It's on my blog on Medium. So I wrote a story about stuff that I've been through and things like that, and really how I overcame them, and are overcoming them. And so I was just like, I think this would be a good idea to inspire and help other people. Me talking about my struggles could help somebody who deals with the same struggles, or close to that. And I just love helping people and just inspiring people. So especially through sports or writing or whatever else. So I thought that could be a good idea.
Hey, man, that's why you're here today, man. People need to hear this message, and I just want to say, man, everyone should commend you for speaking out and actually having a voice on this and educating people about this. And that kind of leads me into my next question, man. In sports, mental health is almost looked at as like a taboo topic. Like, man, you got to keep the mental health aspect off the field, and we'll worry about that after the game, but you got to perform on Saturdays or Sundays or Thursdays whenever you want to play. Why do you think mental health is such a complex taboo topic within the sports world?
Well, I feel like athletes are taught to always be mentally tough. You always got to be like, you got to be on the grind. You got to be mentally tough. Just play your sport, deal with everything else on your own type of like mentality with it. And so it's really taboo in sports. It's really taboo overall, but it's getting, I guess, more out there and more talked about. But especially within sports, it's just, like I said, athletes are taught to be tough and not show much emotion and all this stuff. And with that, that can sort of lead to unhealthy coping mechanisms and not really talking about your mental health or really, helping your mental health or doing stuff for your mental health could be a detriment to you. So it could be a detriment to, people, athletes, whoever. So I feel like it is really taboo just because people don't really want to talk about it. Not many people talk about their mental health because it's seen as like, nobody wants to talk about, their problems and all that other sort of stuff. So, I mean, but I feel like sports are sort of more advancing with that, with people speaking more, about their mental health, NBA players such as DeMar DeRozan, who's one of my favorite players, Kevin Love, people like that, and then some NFL players and, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Hey, man, I like it. I like that we're kind of, moving toward, especially when Kevin Love came out and was like, yeah, man, like I'm missing games because of my mental health and because I'd have to put my mental health first. And No, he got a lot of criticism until he came out and said it. And it's sad that it took like the criticism to kind of push him to share it. Like he should have felt comfortable sharing it anyway. And I'm hoping we're moving toward that point, like you said. But when you look at just the overall landscape of mental health in sports, what do you think are some of the biggest, most important changes that need to happen within the sports world regarding mental health and mental health treatment?
I guess people being more open about it and really just having the resources. So a lot of times people won't really get help for the mental health because of resources, or they might not have the resources or the best resources, or whatever. But I feel like, for example, with DeMar DeRozan, he came out about his mental health too, and he was talking about that. And then shortly afterwards, that sort of attributed to mental health professionals being on every NBA team. So they have that, and I feel like with sports, they're really just having more people and just having more resources about it. So more people to go to, and they're also being more encouraged to go get this help, whether it be a counselor, a therapist, whatever, and really talking about it. And like I said, having healthy coping mechanisms. And I feel like the better your mental health is, the better your performance on the field is, or on the court, or in your sport, whatever it is.
Yeah, I absolutely. I think it goes for even people listening who might not be athletes. Just your life, like your well-being throughout your life, is going to be better if you get your mental health in order. And guys, I know that we're like talking about this. It's a different episode than usual. This is an important topic, and I hope y'all share this out there with people who might need this help. And make sure to talk to your friends and check. I know I love the I Am Athlete podcast where they do wellness checks with the friends. Y'all need to be doing that with y'all's friends, man. Y'all really do. Like, if you haven't heard from your boy in a few days, man, just shoot him a text, be like, "Hey, bro, like you good? Like everything fine?" Because if you don't check up on them, man, you're gonna feel like they ain't got nobody. And I was the VP for Active Minds at Auburn, which is a mental health organization. So you can reach out to Byron or myself, man, if you need any resources, need someone to talk to, man. Both our DMs are open. I just want to say that as we get into this. And so this kind of leads me to the next thing, man. Are there any tips and or advice for young athletes? Because we have college athletes that listen to the show. I'm sure we have high school athletes, parents of high school athletes that listen to the show. Is there any advice for those people about keeping their mental health in check throughout their athletic career?
So some advice would be to sort of figure out what's going on with them, and then have being encouraged to talk about it. So it's really, like I said, getting the resources and stuff like that, but really encouraging them to talk about it, and really finding just healthy habits that they can make for their mental health. It could be journaling, writing, reading, exercising, whatever is good to help them with their mental health, taking a walk, or just relaxing, or just taking some time for themselves, really stuff like that. And I feel like the more people are encouraged to do things for their mental health and help them, I think the more that will happen. So really just tips like that, talk to someone, coach, teammate, friend, parent, counselor, therapist, just stuff like that. And just really having to just unpack all that, because people carry a lot of weight on their shoulders. People are dealing with things that they don't talk about. And I feel like it would help a lot for them to talk about it.
Hey, man, surround yourself with a group of people that care about you, that want to hear, and that check in on you, man. That's a big message from this show. And so, man, I wanted this first half to be all about mental health and sports. I want the second half to be about your story, your journey so far through mental health, through athletics, and just through your life so far. I know you stepped away from football, man. You writing, doing the YouTube channel, still doing big things. But why did you decide to step away from the football field for a while?
So I think a lot of football players, really athletes in general, sort of sit around sometimes and think like, is this fun anymore? Is this sport fun anymore? Is this worth it anymore? And just stuff like that. Because really, I was feeling like, I'm not sure if this is worth it anymore, or it's just too much going on. And I'm just like, I don't know. I'm not really having fun and stuff like that. So I remember I graduated high school in 2017. And so I had some small offers to play at some small schools. And I went to this one school, and I was there, and I was just like, this isn't really it, or just this school isn't for me. I don't know if it was the place or the school or the sport or whatever, but I was just like, this is not for me. It was really far from home, and I'm just like, I don't know, this isn't really, it. So I remember going home for a few days to see my therapist, talking to my therapist about stuff and just like stuff like that. And then I got a call And it was like, hey, your eligibility for the season is revoked. And this was before school even started. I was just like, well, my eligibility for the school or for the season is revoked. So I'm like, what now? So I took it as like a blessing in disguise at the same time because I was just like, I really need to take some time away and just really figure some things out anyway. So I took a gap year from school, as they call it. And I was just like, well, I want to find some other things that I can do outside of football that I'm good at because I feel like a lot of people find their identity in their sport or just stuff like that, and I feel like they're still a person. They're not just so and so the football player, so and so the coach or the tennis player, basketball player, baseball, whatever. They're not. Their identity isn't within their sport. They're an actual person, you know. So I was just like, I want to find some other things that I'm good at doing, and writing was one of them. So writing, YouTube. I'm really into fashion, stuff like that. So I was like, let me explore some other things outside of just playing football. And coaching was an option for that too. I did that for a while, so I thought that was pretty cool. And so I just wanted to do some other things other than football. So I started writing a lot, and that was just really that. That's how sort of my blog took off. So I was like, I like sports, I like writing, so let's write about sports. And I was like, mental health is a really big topic within sports, or it needs to be talked about. So I wrote about it, and so I would just write about personal stories, sports, mental health, sports overall, and just stuff like that. So, yeah.
Hey, and guys, he has a link on his Twitter, man. You can go ahead and what's your Twitter?
My Twitter is at BJT underscore era. So BJT underscore ERA.
Guys, go there. He has a link to his Medium page with all his articles. I've read through them all, and they're excellent articles. Shout out to you for that. I know they're doing big numbers, making an impact for everyone who can find them. So, guys, go check out his Twitter right after this interview and catch up on all the articles, man. So, I mentioned before you are a management major at Kennesaw State now. Why did you decide to go to Kennesaw State?
So after my eligibility for my freshman season of football got revoked, I ended up going to another school, all this other stuff. So the school that I went to was actually Point University. So I was at Point University for a while, taking classes there and stuff like that. And I was just like, this is really cool. So after a while, I was just like, I want to transfer to a bigger school or pretty much a school that I wanted to go to or a school that I had my eye on. And that school was Kennesaw State. So I remember applying for them the first time around, I actually got rejected. So then the second time I applied to them, I got rejected again, but it was a misunderstanding because they didn't have my transcript and grades and stuff like that. So I had to make sure they had everything, and then I ended up getting accepted to them. But it was down to two schools I was going to transfer to: Georgia Southern being one of them, and Kennesaw State being the other. And so I felt like I would be able to make a bigger impact at Kennesaw State than I would Georgia Southern, and really some other schools too. And then Kennesaw State being close to home is really convenient. And I was just like, it's a good school, so I know some people there already. So I was just like, I'm gonna go there. So I just decided to go to that school.
Hey, I like it, man. It's one of the best schools, I mean, around that area. So, I mean, I don't blame you there. But with mental health, with being a transfer student, I know you've written about some of this, but what can you kind of speak on what has your experience at Kennesaw State been thus far?
So my experience at Kennesaw State so far, it's been good and bad. So people say sometimes you got to take the good with the bad, bad with the good. And so my experience has been sort of slow. Things have been slow. I remember I had knee surgery in July of 2020. So I had knee surgery. So I was like, I can't be on campus for the semester because I'm on crutches and I don't really know my way around and stuff like that. So I just decided to take online classes. So I was taking all online classes the first semester while I was rehabbing and doing all that back home. And so during that time, I was just like, this is lonely, especially with me having knee surgery. I couldn't really go anywhere. I was on crutches. I was pretty much at home majority of the time. And I was just like, this is tough, not having like really much human interaction. And throughout the year, people didn't really have much human interaction anyway. So I was just sitting there like, this is just tough. I was doing well in school, doing well with rehab, but I was just like, this is still tough. And I would try to reach out to some people and it didn't work. And, people didn't really reach back out. And I was just like, it was just lonely. So I remember getting on campus in the spring of 2020. So that was cool. It was still kind of hard really getting adjusted to everything. I was late to class on my first day because I didn't know where the class was, but it was fine. So I got everything, class wise and schedule wise I needed to get situated. And so the experience, I mean, I've met some people. I reached out to a lot of people on social media and stuff like that, athletes included. Some haven't responded, some ignored me and all this other stuff. So I was just like, ouch. I was just like, okay, so I just kind of just left it at that. So I was just like, it really just takes time. But classes for the spring semester were good. I met some really cool people in some classes. So I was just like, just take it one thing at a time, one thing at a time. And I was just, I don't know, I really just felt alone a good bit. And so that's where the whole mental health aspect plays in too. So I was just really trying to find resources for that, people to talk to and stuff like that. And, I took some of the being ignored a little bit. I'm not gonna say I didn't take it personal, a little, at least a little bit, because I was just like, well, I felt like people looked at me like, who's this new transfer student who doesn't really know what he's doing, and he's talking to people or reaching out to people like, who is this random person and all that. And I kind of felt like people looked at me like, well, I didn't really have much credibility or credentials and stuff like that. And I was just like, man, this is tough. But I learned, you're not gonna click with everybody right away at least. So I just took it for what it was and really just try to use it as motivation. And I still do now. So experience, with that has been tough, but I've had some good experiences as well, such as being a part of the student athlete advisory committee. So I think that was really cool too. And when I transferred to Kennesaw State, I said I wanted to make an impact and help others, as best as I can. And so that was a really big deal to me. And so I really felt bad. I was like, well, I've been here on campus a few months and I haven't really done much. And I was really getting discouraged about it because I'm so passionate about sports writing and just helping other people and being able to inspire other people. And when things don't go a certain way, I get frustrated. But it's not because, I don't care or something like that or I'm being selfish. It's just I care that much. I just care so much about what I'm doing, and I just want to help. I want to be able to contribute, and I got really discouraged and frustrated that I wasn't able to contribute. But the good thing about that, about the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, I did host Kennesaw State's first mental health panel with the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. So we had people from campus on there, we had some athletes on there from other schools, and like school psychologists, doctors, and stuff like that, and really just having a conversation about mental health. So I was really proud of that for sure. So yeah.
I mean, absolutely. And you've hinted at it, but I got to get the official answer here, man. Are you planning on trying to return to the football field, trying to, make an impact here at Kennesaw State on the field? And if you are, how so? And if not, why not?
So I love football. I love being a part of football, whether that's playing football, coaching football, writing about football. I just love football. So I guess to answer that question, I am, but it just depends on how. So I know Kennesaw, they have, the regular football team, and they have like intramural sports. They have, football, kickball, stuff like that. And of course, I would love to do, either one of those, either regular football or flag football. So really, either one of those is fine. And when I tell people I think it'd be fun to play flag football, some of them are like, well, why don't you just try out for the team regularly instead of playing flag football? And I was like, well, what if I do both? But I mean, I've had my eye on sort of returning to football in some capacity, whether it be playing regular football, coaching football, or playing 7-on-7. It doesn't really matter. I did play in a 7-on-7 earlier in the spring, and I had so much fun doing that. So I was just like, I think, either playing football regularly, flag football, 7-on-7, or coaching football, I think that'd be great. So the way I've been preparing for that is really just trying to get healthy because, I'm still dealing with injury and stuff like that. Still rehabbing and things like that. But I am getting there. I'm at like 65, 68-ish%. And my 68%, it's not bad, but it's not like where I want to be. So I've really just been, working on that. So I've been preparing for that. So rehab, treatment, and stuff like that. Just really doing everything I can to get healthy. So, I've been dealing with a lot with that. So I've just been rehabbing, treatment, working out, watching film, stuff like that. So I'm like, I'm doing what I can. And I want everybody else to sort of have that same kind of energy. whether that be doctors, trainers, whatever. So yeah, but I think it'd be fun to either play regular football or 7-on-7 football. I'll be playing a new position too. I've usually really played defensive back, but I want to play receiver. So I kind of like the receiver position better, anyways. I'd rather score touchdowns than prevent them sometimes. But really, if I was taller and could throw deep, I would want to play quarterback, just because that's where my mind is. So I always say like I have a mind of a quarterback, but I'm just playing receiver. And what I mean by that is I'm really like cerebral. I want to know what everybody's doing on the field. I want to know everything the offense is doing, every position of offense, what they're doing, every position that the defense is doing, because I played on defense. So it'd be good to know what we want to do, the offense, and what the defense wants to do. So I kind of like model, I guess, my study habits for the game after Peyton Manning, who's my favorite player all time, and Tom Brady. So it's kind of weird being a Peyton Manning fan and a Tom Brady fan, but I respect Tom Brady a lot just because of his story, being an underdog and stuff like that. So that's kind of how I sort of take it. So I study a lot. So I've just been preparing for that. So whether it be playing regular football, 7-on-7, whatever, I just want to be a part of football. So.
Hey man, I like to hear it. So last question here, man. Whether you walk on, try out for Kennesaw State football, whether it's 7-on-7, whether it's the writing, YouTube, what are some of your personal goals for this next year that you hope to achieve?
So personal goals. I guess within football, so let's take it section by section. So okay, let's say football first. So if it's regular football, just making the team for one, but also just being a great teammate. I've always modeled myself being a great teammate or being that teammate that other teammates can go to, if they need something, or really I have like a coach on the field sort of aspect. Like I'm a coach on the field, so really coaching has helped me a lot with regular football as well, because I see both sides of the game, and I see the game a little bit differently now. But it's like it just opened up even more. So really doing that in the season, just play well and just do the best I can, be a great teammate, just help, just contribute as best as I can. That's really a lot of what I want to do. So that's that with regular football. 7-on-7. I mean, 7-on-7, really, you're just having fun out there, but it's also competitive as well. It's just with flag football, the rules are different, and they can rush and stuff like that, and you can't really block them like how you would block in a regular football game. So that's been tough, because when I played in the 7-on-7 in the spring, I wanted the ball, I wanted targets, but we were getting rushed. I got a few targets, whatever, but it was just tough. But that's really that. Just really have a good experience overall with sports, just in general. So that's that with that. As far as writing goes, I guess just writing more. I did take a break from writing for a little while. I was sort of off and on, but really just writing more columns and just finding more ideas and things to write about, and really looking at it like, well, how can I connect with others? How can I help someone? How can I inspire someone? Whether that be talking about mental health in sports or mental health, separately or just whatever. So writing would just be to write more and just, I guess, sort of do more with that. And I have noticed that the NCAA has a new name, image, and likeness rule. So I think it would be really cool to sign like a writing deal or have a writing sponsorship with some sort of writing platform. Like Medium, my platform of choice, because I write my blogs on there. So I think that'd be cool. But yeah, as far as YouTube goes, just put out more videos, just blogging. I do have a docu series on there about my rehab and stuff like that. It's called Road to Recovery, so y'all can check that out. But really just making more videos, making more content for YouTube, and I guess hitting 2,000 subscribers, because I'm at like 1,385 or so. And I've been doing YouTube for like 9, 10 years now, but I've been so off and on with it. So, but really just being more consistent with that with YouTube. And yeah, really just some other goals are just to really make an impact and help people. I guess some more personal goals are to just do well. But aside from that, I do want to prove some people wrong. I've been slept on, mistreated, I feel like, and just doubted and stuff like that. And I just want to show people why they shouldn't have stepped on me, doubted me, or mistreated me, ignored me, whatever. And I want to let my success sort of do the talking, or majority of that. So I know the whole I took it personal memes and stuff like that. So, I sort of use it as motivation. I look at anything as motivation. I can find motivation in anything. So sometimes I just take a mental note of it. Sometimes I actually write it. So it really just depends. It doesn't have to be with just sports either. It could be with YouTube, writing, just success and accomplishments overall. So I try to take that whole, Tom Brady underdog mentality or like Baker Mayfield, Joe Burrow type of thing, and just sort of go through it like that. But other than that, main goal is just do well, make good grades, of course. I do want to make the dean's list. So I didn't make the dean's list first semester. You got to have a 3.5 to have that. I only had a 3.25. I was so close. And I was just like, I take school very seriously in my grades. But one personal goal, I know I'm talking about a lot of goals, but a really personal one for me is to create my own charitable organization. Really want to have my own charitable organization, whether it be dedicated to sports or mental health or, helping with homelessness, whatever. I just want my own, it could be all of those. I just want to help. I remember back in like 2007, I was like 8 years old going to a Falcons game with some of my family. And like I saw a homeless person sitting down like by the stadium. And like I was just like, hold on, go back to like give them some money for food or something like that. And then, I've always wanted to help people. But after that, I was like, I really like want to help people, especially like with my own foundation. But I didn't really get serious about that until I got older. So now I'm starting to see like I can really make that sort of, I guess, dream come true or goal come true, be making my own charitable organization. So I really want to start working on that and get that. And I do want the Sports Humanitarian Award SB.
I like it, man. I like it. I don't blame you at all there, man. I listen, I appreciate you coming on the show, man. I told you beforehand, this was such an important topic for so many people to hear. You have a unique story, man. And I mean, I'm hey, I'll be tuned in to your journey, man, tuned into your YouTube channel, your writing, everything you do from here on. But go ahead, man. Plug social media, plug the YouTube channel, man. Give any shout outs you want. This time's yours.
So my YouTube, you could go www.youtube.com/the Terry Byron one. So it's basically my last name, first name, and the number one. So that would be my YouTube channel. My Twitter and Instagrams are at BJT underscore era. So BJT underscore ERA. And then my blog, I think it's just my name, Byron Jamar Terry. Or if you look up my name in Medium or writing, then you should be able to find it. So, yeah.
Guys, I promise you need to go check out these articles. He's got a great YouTube channel. He's killing the game and writing, YouTube, everything. Man, I can't wait to keep up with your story. But guys, make sure to go follow Byron on all social media so you can keep up with him. Y'all know where to find us, man. Subscribe on YouTube, any and all podcast streaming platforms. And I appreciate you joining me again. I can't wait to get this out here to this message out here to everyone who's listening. But for Byron, for myself, and for the Blue Bloods, guys, we are out.